Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nick Cook, Director of Public Policy for the Michigan Coalition Against Homelessness. Thank you for joining us today for the March Legislative Action Committee meeting. There's been a lot going on. Uh, it seems like we just got through the budget cycle and we're starting over again. So let's go ahead and get started. Elizabeth, if you could bring the slides up, please. Again, this is your Legislative Action Committee meeting for Monday, March 2nd. Nick Cook, the Director of Public Policy for the Michigan Coalition Against Homelessness. Go ahead, next slide. This is the mission for MICA. Next slide. These are the 2025 policy priorities, which we will be updating for 2026, that we will talk about at Homeless Advocacy Day. So stay tuned. They're going to be updated soon, but just see where we at. Our values are still very much the same. Just some of the priorities are going to shift a little bit. Next slide. Next slide. Well, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and hop right into our federal updates. All right. So this past, in February, the end of January, beginning of February, we passed the THUD FY26 budget. It was good news. If you had tuned into the February LAC, you all know it was actually above what was proposed by both the Senate and the House, and a large increase over what the president had recommended. But some of the things that we need to really focus on as we are going forward is Section 244, which established the timeline and the conditions for the Secretary to renew the FY25 Continuum of Care projects expiring in calendar year 26. So as the bill was signed, those projects that were expiring in first quarter calendar year 26 were supposed to be renewed immediately. My understanding from our national partners, and we're getting conflicting information from our partners in the state, that those funds have not been released. So if you are a COC that was losing funding in first quarter calendar year 26, so January, February, or March, if you lost that, if you have not received your funding or received notification from HUD, it would be greatly appreciated if you reached out to either myself or Sarah Rennie and just gave us a heads up, so that we can track this and that we can reach out to our congressional delegation and continue to put pressure. Additionally, also let the courts know that the funding has not been released, because there's other things moving, that we need to continue to watch for. It also Congress required HUD to release the FY26 NOFO no later than June 1st, and with no less than 60% of your annual renewal demands. So that means when they put the cap at 30%, you can actually go to the minimum of 60%, is Congress's actions for this upcoming NOFO process. We're hoping that the annual renewal demands is much higher than that, but at a minimum, they will be 60%. So what I would challenge you all to do is start looking at what 60% means to you, so that you can talk to your members of Congress, so that you can advocate for your position, as we're going forward, so that we understand what less than 60% or what 60% would do to your community. Just understanding that will also help us talk to the state legislature, if there needs to be backfill or if there needs to be some type of other funding, because this is all going to come out mid-fiscal year. The state budget may or may not have already been approved at that point. So we got to kind of start grasping what is going on, and take a look further out to understand the impacts it's going to have on our communities. On the good news front, Two bipartisan housing packages are moving through Congress. We know before Christmas break, the Renewing Opportunity and the American Dream, the Road to Housing Act, passed out of the Senate nearly unanimously. Took a lot of different concepts that have been floating out there for years, rolled them all into one bill and passed. Not to be outdone, the House passed a bipartisan bill called the Housing for 21st Century Act. Again, took a bunch of ideas with the House twist and passed that in February. Now, what does that mean? Negotiations are going to be going on between the House and the Senate to kind of decide what package they go with. How does it play out? What does it look like? And if they actually move it forward. The president has signaled that we need to do more in the housing space. So I do believe there is a way forward, even in a election year, um, to pass these bills. Um, with that said, uh, you know, as you take a look at both these packages, communicate with your members of Congress, talk to them, ask them where they're at, what they think of things. And that doesn't mean just the member of Congress themselves. That also means with the district director, their housing policy person. If you don't know who that is, reach out to me. We'll figure it out together, get you in contact with them, and continue to advocate for what's best for your community. So, next slide, please. Litigation, we know this is on everybody's forethought of their mind. The litigation, Micah was co-signed on to the litigation with the Attorney General in 20 other states, challenging the 2025 NOFO that was released on November, Sarah, was it November 9th?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
November 9th. And then there was a follow-up on December 13th. Um, the AG's litigation was then concurrently also had a concurrent lawsuit that they were enjoined with the National Alliance to End Homelessness and Democracy Forward. Um, and that's kind of been at a stalemate as the court has kind of decided how they're going to proceed, allow back and forth between HUD, the lawyers, but HUD last week or 2 weeks ago asked for the injunction to be lifted. The court late last week denied the request, stating irreparable harm to the COCs and that the plaintiffs will more than likely prevail. Therefore, the court is still weighing the next steps. There hasn't been a final ruling, but that was great. What we anticipated HUD would do is if the injunction was lifted, they would ask to roll back to the December 13th NOFO, which we all know wasn't great. It was better than the November 9th one, but it wasn't great. We also um, believe they would have immediately, if they had not prevailed, they would have immediately um, asked for, um, they would have appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals, maybe even directly to the Supreme Court. So, keeping the injunction in place while the court makes a determination, it was in the best interest of the COCs.
So the
Um, I-
question we have, Nick, from
yeah,
Cecilia is if you've not received HUD funding and we're supposed to reach out to Nick or Sarah, what grant is that? What FY and grant is that related to?
that
That
is,
would be, oh,
yeah,
go
go
ahead, Nick.
ahead,
You
Sarah.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Sarah. You got it.
I was going to say that would be any grant that was expiring under this NOFO, which by this NOFO, I mean either the 24-25 NOFO, and maybe Nick, you can be
Yeah.
clearer. Go ahead.
Yeah, it would have been the 24-25 NOFO, the original 2 year NOFO that would expire in January, February, or March of 2026. I hope that answers your question, Cecilia. If you want to clarify anything, please come off mute and ask.
So, and many of you know that I have a chart of whose are expiring while we work all of this out. The T-HUD bill is supposed to ensure that those expirations don't result in funding lapses. And so if you're a COC or a nonprofit that has a grant that may be looking at those sort of first quarter or beginning of the second quarter expiration dates, please just stay in touch with us.
All right, next slide. Here's some toolkits about the NOFO. You got the National Alliance to End Homelessness. You have the MICA toolkit. Then we also have our legislative tracker. So as we do letters, things of that nature, you'll see those things populate in the MICA legislative tracker. But the best two right now are the National Alliance to End Homelessness and the MICA COC NOFO toolkit. Next slide. What I want to talk about now is just some traction that's been happening at the national level. You've heard us talk about it before. The Cicero Institute, they are really pushing to shift away from the federal housing first model. They say it's ineffective, doesn't work, it's expensive. But in Michigan, we can say the exact opposite. We know it works. We know it is better than transitional housing. It also calls for statewide bans on camping, goes to minimally viable shelters or sanctioned encampments. Back in September, we had Eric Tars on the call. Eric Tars laid out kind of what the Utah encampment looks like. I liken it to an internment camp during World War II. They have big tents out there. The unhoused individuals sleep out in these tents. The services are provided in buildings that are the front of the property, and the unhoused sleep outdoors. They're sanctioned encampments run by the government, and Utah has really transitioned to that model. Doesn't say it's more successful. They claim it is, but the data in Michigan shows transitional housing is only about 65% effective compared to permanent housing, which is 90 to 95% effective. And it costs more. You think about it, you have a lot more maintenance, you have a lot more staff time to deal with transitional housing that costs more. And you think about the buildup of the infrastructure to handle more and more transitional housing and move away from permanent housing is going to cost more. It's going to cost more in the short term. Uh, Cicero Institute will also, they are calling for involuntary civil commitment and inpatient care for individuals with severe mental illness or addiction, yet using the term public safety and dignity as the code for we're trying to restore these, we're trying to give people their dignity back. But we know that involuntary commitment doesn't work. It has failed. It also goes back on a bunch of court precedents. And, what we did see in the NOFO was that HUD was adopting a lot of these practices. It removed mental health as a disabling condition for permanent supportive housing, which violates all kinds of Americans with Disability Acts and other court precedents, laws, and also violates state constitutions, which we know coming out of Grants Pass and a few other rulings out of Supreme Court, they turn that back to the state for the state to make the determination. So they can't violate the state constitutions either. So we see this a lot. And Cicero Institute is pushing lobbyists into different states. Um, as my last check a week and a half ago, there was no registered lobbyist in Michigan, which is a good thing. I really don't think my personal assessment right now is Michigan is not ripe for Cicero to come into to push their agenda. With that being said, this isn't a blue or red state issue. It is affecting all communities. We're seeing it all across the country. They're in blue states as much as they are in red states. And they're really making this push that transitional housing, minimally viable shelters are the best way to go, as we figure out ways to help the unhoused population. They go back to the picking yourself up by the bootstraps. But for those that know, if somebody doesn't have bootstraps, it's hard to pick yourself up. So, you know, housing first puts in a lot of wraparound services, puts a lot of requirements in there, to ensure people are successful. Transitional housing basically puts a lot of onus back onto the individual and let them try to figure it out. Indiana has fought for 3 years against the criminalization efforts. Just last week, on the 24th, their state adopted a statewide camping ban. Why do I bring this up? Indiana is just to the south of us. We do know that Cicero Institute is in Illinois. It's just going to be a matter of time till they turn their attention to Michigan. Um, and Indiana had a very wide range of um, supporters against the camping ban. Their sheriff's association was against the camping ban. Their Prosperity Indiana was leading the efforts. Um, but it did pass. So they will now have a camping ban. They expect their governor to sign it into law, and that's just, gives the unhoused a criminal record if they can't get into a shelter. Um, it just pushes our unhoused population further and further into the margins, versus actually addressing the root cause of homelessness, which is lack of affordable and safe and secure housing. Next slide, please. Congress works for you. You can take action. Um, we are at a point where they're in DC quite a bit, but when they come back, set up tours, talk to your community leaders, work with a wide ranging, your county commissioners, your city, your municipality leadership, your sheriffs. Set up roundtables with your member of Congress to talk about what your community is seeing. Invite them to your shelter. Invite them to your facility. Share stories of success. Why were they successful? And it will uh, pay dividends. So continue to work at making those connections. If you need assistance, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to connect you to the right people. Next slide. If in doubt, reach out. You hear something, you hear a rumor, reach out to me. We'll figure out together. Sarah's also really tied into the litigation piece. Please reach out to Sarah if you hear something about the litigation, or if you haven't received notification for those that expired in first quarter calendar year 26. And we'll make these connections. We'll send up smoke signals. We'll send out fire alarms. Make sure that Congress is aware of the issues going on, as we move forward. Next slide, please. State updates. I know everybody's excited about the state updates because everything's going on in the state. Governor's budget proposal was released February 11th. And then she followed it up with Governor Whitmer's last state of the state, which was February 25th. Unfortunately, there was no new investments into homeless services. It was status quo. We know that you all, in the COCs and in different communities, work on shoestring budgets. Costs have been rising everywhere. It would have been nice to see investments into the emergency shelter program, emergency shelter grants, to increase, or even rental assistance, to ensure that we can either make people or help people make their payments on time or keep them in housing, or for those that have shelters, ensure the viability of those shelters, ensure we can hire great staff, and keep great staff. But there was no new investment into homeless services. The Housing Community Development Fund was highlighted in the governor's recommendation, 50 million. But that 50 million what is ongoing and it's restricted fund. So there was, again, no new investment in the Housing Community Development Fund. Governor called for in her State of the State expansion of the use of the Housing Community Development Fund. There's a couple bill packages that have been out there for a while to move from extremely low income and low income use of the Housing Community Development Fund to what is now referred to as the missing middle. And I'll kind of explain some of that as we go forward in this meeting. Um, but affordable housing, according to some experts in the state of Michigan, is a house at the $300,000 um, at the $300,000 range. So if you really have affordable housing, it's 300,000. Um, which to the community that we all serve and that we work with, 300,000 is not affordable. It's out of, I call it more of a investment into the young professionals to draw young professionals to Michigan, to keep young professionals here. It does nothing to actually address the homeless, the unhoused, the precariously housed. Uh, she also supports the zoning preemption as part of the plan to increase housing affordability, House Bill 5529 to 5532. It's a bipartisan package by Kristen Grant and Joe Aragona. Um, again, changes lot size, puts, requires certain, communities to allow certain setbacks on their property, certain lot size, and also who can protest the development of housing in an area. They have to be, there's a new requirement that they must be basically touching the property versus anybody in the affected community. What does this mean? According to the supporters of the bill, it's going to increase affordability. They're saying that with those changes, the $97,000 in overhead costs just to get a housing development started will be decreased significantly. Again, I see it not really affecting the population that we serve as the unhoused or precariously housed until 8 years down the road. Um, the problem with this is it's relying on housing stock to increase, people moving up into into different housing, um, but doesn't guarantee anything. One of the proposals on the Housing Community Development Fund still has a set aside for low income and extremely low income, but you're still chipping into that money for out of the Housing Community Development Fund. The zoning preemption in the House does not have any set aside for extremely low or low income, does not require communities to develop low income or extremely low income. So I do not feel that this is definitely going to impact the community that we serve. Like I said here, the plan is to increase housing stock, which will then decrease the cost of homes. Um, I'll talk about that in a second here. So, next slide, please. So, the NLHC gap report is expected to be released um, March 5th, which is Thursday. I received a preview of it as part of our national partnership with the National Low Income Housing Coalition. Unfortunately, the gap report for Michigan is sad face and really sad face. It is embargoed till Thursday, but once you see it, you'll understand that Michigan is not trending the right direction. Um, we're even with all the investments that the governor's administration claims, we're seeing Michigan is not trending the right direction.
And
So there's
Nick,
a
did you see the comment that the all just wanting to echo what you're saying that
yeah.
there's a decrease in funding for runaway and homeless youth?
Yeah, Pam, I think that's a little bit also it had to deal with one-time funding versus ongoing funding and some of that. But yes, you are correct. There was a decrease on that, but I think some of that was one-time funding anyways. And the misnomer about one-time and ongoing is it's all one time. So, but yes, we do have, Micah does have a proposal to increase that line. We have a couple other proposals to increase lines because it is important that we invest in homeless services. The state continues to not look into homeless services to ensure people are connected with resources and that we're really investing into our most vulnerable population. We're in appropriation season. For those that I've met with in the past, in my previous life, or for those that have made asks to the state legislature on behalf of their organization, we are in the middle of appropriation season. Legislatively directed spending items must be posted no later than April 15th onto the prospective House and Senate websites. The House will be holding hearings on all those items that are listed as legislatively directed spending items. I don't know if the Senate plans on doing the same. I have not heard, but they are out there. Um, and then we're also barreling towards the Senate and the House spring break. Senate spring break is 30 March to 10 April. The House is 23 March to 10 April. So, good news about that is your state legislature will be back in the district. Reach out to them, get them to come again, roundtables, to meet with you, see your facilities, uh, work together in your community to elaborate on the issues that we're all facing. And I would love to hear how those work out. If you want ideas, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to work through that with you and come up with some recommendations on how to engage your elected officials during that time. Next slide, please. Again, here we go. Cicero Institute and encouragement of criminalization. We are seeing this pop up across the state. It's we saw Vienna Township do it right before Christmas. Really, they're claiming that unhoused individuals come there during the summer months and hang out in their community. So they placed a camping ban. Um, I don't know how true that is or if it's just being preemptive. East Lansing is still ongoing. We have partnered with the ACLU of Michigan and the National Homelessness Law Center to engage City Council. Really, what it came down to is businesses didn't like seeing homeless people near their businesses. That's what it is. Uh, if anybody knows of East Lansing, went to school there, you know the downtown area. It's not very big. Um, they claim that people smell of alcohol and reek of marijuana, and also use the outdoor as their bathroom. It sounds like and smells like any college town I've ever been to. Yet the businesses are blaming the homeless population as being the ones that are perpetrating all of this. Um, if you are hearing of this anywhere in your area, your community, I know uh, Micah will be ready to help and assist wherever we can to stop the criminalization because it does not address the root cause of homelessness. So reach out, let us know where you need assistance. If you want to talk to the National Homelessness Law Center, we'll make contacts there. If you want to talk to ACLU of Michigan, we'll make all those connections. But reach out. We don't always get wind of things. I did not know about Vienna Township until an article was popular came out like 2 weeks after the decision by the township to go that way. So if you get wind of something, reach out, let us know. The collective action by all of us can be pretty impressive. I know there's people on this call that would be willing to go talk about the impacts to the unhoused and the precariously housed communities. So reach out, we'll make connections, we'll work on this together. You don't have to fight it alone. Next slide, please. Again, share any community. I want to know about what's going on in your community, what issues you've had, what successes you've seen. If anybody wants to come off mute and share at this time, be greatly appreciated. Not all at once. All right. Everybody's still scared of me. We'll go ahead and continue on. Next slide. Congress Plus. As we get more and more into the year and we start looking at bills moving through the legislature, uh, go to Micah's website, click on our legislative tracker. It's ran by Congress Plus. Um, it'll help what we're tracking, what we're seeing. If we oppose something, we'll explain why we oppose it in there. It's a great tool so that you all can see what's going on. And as you get further and further into the details, um, we will, you'll be able to see how your member of the state legislature voted for a certain bill. So continue to reach out, look at it, stay connected, and as bills pop up, we will populate that and go from there. Next slide, please. Advocacy is crucial. We saw how it worked for the HUD NOFO. We got everything and more that we asked for. We received the funding increase over what was proposed by both the Senate and the House. We were able to allow litigation to go forward and fund COCs. So great job, everybody. Really appreciate everybody staying connected and staying on top of it. But it's going to continue to happen, especially as the FY26 NOFO goes out. We know there's going to be some policy changes. We know there's going to be some funding changes. Stay active, stay connected, and we'll go from there. State budget. Don't be afraid to talk to your state rep, your senators. We will be releasing the ask from Micah. Don't be afraid to talk to your members about that. We will also be advocating for it during legislative day. State legislation, provide testimony, either written or in person, can put in a card of support or opposition. Don't be afraid. There's sign-on letters, there's LAC meetings, there's Bridges to Belonging, there's Coffee with Micah, Coalition for Expanding Housing, et cetera, et cetera. Don't um, don't be afraid to join one of these groups. Um, Clint, just to kind of reach that, um, we just need to continue to advocate on a really, truly affordable housing for the lowest income. Your extremely low income, your low income. If you look at how things are moving, we continue to invest in the middle income, what they call the missing middle. It really does not impact. Just because you're middle income and can afford something at 300,000 doesn't mean that's what you're going to go live in or purchase or rent. If you can afford rent at 2,200, you're not necessarily going to go do that. You may go for rent at 1,600 if it fits what you asked for. Well, that puts downward pressure on the people below you. So you'll see that come out in the gap report. They'll show you how um, the higher the income and the more they dip down into the what is considered affordable for the lower incomes, the more pressure it puts on the lower incomes. And that's what we're seeing across the state. That's again why I'm saying that the proposals by the governor and by the House aren't necessarily bad, but it's going to take a long time for those impacts to affect the unhoused and the precariously housed community. Next slide, please. All right, we'll go into some Micah updates. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Sorry about that. I couldn't find my mute button. All right, we're going to talk about March trainings that we have coming up. We've got two of them. This first one is going to be March 5th. It's going to be the best practices for serving survivors of human trafficking. The Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence will be doing this training for us. You will get 3 CEUs. It is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., so it's a few hours. It's 50 for members, 60 for non-members. And in the presentation, you're going to learn about common myths and misconceptions about trafficking. That will be addressed and reframed. Participants will explore survivors' unique housing needs and barriers and learn strategies to promote safety, stability, and empowerment. The next training we have will be on the 26th. There'll be understanding how a bill becomes law and other important civics in complicated times. And our very own Nick Cook will be the presenter for this training. You will get a CEU for this if you so choose. And the session will help participants understand the legislative process. Participants will be able to describe the key steps and how a bill becomes a law, including introduction, committee review, floor voting, and executive approval. All right, Nick, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. I've been dropping in some um, links into the chat, so please take a look at them. We'll also send them out with our recap, where you will receive a video of the LAC meeting and some notes. So, it'll be a great opportunity. We'll make sure that those links are in there so you can stay up to date. Olivia, you go to the MICA website, which I will drop in there for you. Um, I will have to get that back to you in a second here. But yes, you go to the MICA website. Go back one slide, please.
I'll pull
Yep.
the registration
Yep.
for you,
Policy.
Nick.
Thank you. Policy in place. We have new video series coming out. Myself, Eric, and Sarah put these together. Try to do at least one a week. Just kind of giving you up-to-date information. Check it out on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Instagram, so you can see what's going on. Next slide. Bridges to Belonging. It's our collaborative work group. March 12th is the next one. It's intersectional. If you know groups that may touch the precariously housed or unhoused population, um, even if it's like once or twice a week, or if it's part of their job, or if they just come across the individuals in the doing of the everyday work they do, uh, invite them to come along. We've been talking about Medicaid, we've talked about SNAP. This is very important information. It's a great chance to use our collective voice to raise raise the visibility of the communities that we serve. Next slide, please. Coffee with Micah, March 6th. It's virtual. 9 to 10:30. You don't have to come to the whole thing. Stop in, ask questions. You get to hang out with the uh, super popular and super cool Sarah Rennie. She will give you advice, share your ideas with the rest of the group. And it's just a chance for everybody to get together and just in a non-format, just collaborate, come up with ideas, exchange ideas. What have you heard? What are you doing? What's working? What's not working? It's just a great opportunity to get together. It's from 9 a.m. to 10:30. It'll be March 6th. Next
I
slide.
am
Oh, go
putting
ahead.
the link in the chat in case anybody's interested.
We also are coming up on the Michigan Coalition Against Homelessness 35th anniversary gala and silent auction. It's March 19th at the Doubletree Hotel in Lansing, Michigan. Our speaker is going to be Dr. Raphael Johnson. Yes, he is a legislative director in the Senate. However, he has a doctorate in education, has been worked with marginalized population. He's also a returning citizen. He is very well renowned on engaging vulnerable populations, especially children. It should be a great evening. He's a very dynamic speaker. Come hang out with us, celebrate 35 years of Micah and get an inspirational talk from Dr. Johnson. Next slide, please. Now, this one is going to be the most important slide of the day. It's April 25th, the Micah's 10th annual Homelessness Advocacy Day. It's going to be a great event. We are being sponsored in the Mackinac Room by Representative Emily Devendorf from Lansing, Senator Jeff Irwin from Washtenaw, Ann Arbor, is going to be hosting a hearing on the state of homelessness in Michigan in the Housing and Human Services Committee. It's going to be great time. You'll be advocating for the priorities that impact the unhoused and precariously housed in Michigan. And it's a great chance to network with everybody. It's a great chance to see Eric and Sarah and Amy and myself all in person versus through the interwebs. Join. We already have people. I've already reached out to member offices. We already are having some interest in scheduling meetings. So the more that register, the better. We'll have a great breakfast. We'll have lunch. Come hang out for the day, see how the Capitol works, and share your voice in letting them know what works for your community. Next slide. We want your feedback as you reach out to these members, talk about it. Again, share, share, share. This is what I ask of you. If you've met with somebody or had somebody come tour, what worked? What didn't work? You know, how can we support you? What information do you need? And we'll keep going from there. Next slide. All right. Join us the first Monday of every month. Come to the Legislative Action Committee. It'll be a great time. The next one will begin at the beginning of April. And it'll be, I'm looking at who we invite to the next one. If there's a speaker that you've heard that you would like to hear more from, reach out to me. Let me know. The next one, I've asked a MSU professor who has worked on homeless services, has done some homeless outreach in not only here in Michigan, but more recently in Portland and San Diego, to just get the national perspective and the trends that he's seeing. So tune in for April's Legislative Action Committee. I'm hoping he will commit to that one, if not very soon. Additionally, got some very exciting news. In April, Sarah Rennie and I will be kicking off our um, advocacy podcast. It's going to be called Unhoused and Unfiltered. You will be able to get that anywhere you can get your favorite podcast. I know Sarah and I are really excited about this. And if you listen, if you have feedback on it, we'd love to hear, but that'll be coming out in April. Mitch, can you come off and ask your question? Because I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Hi, Nick. Last year I attended Advocacy Day, and the group I was with, the Oakland County group, met with a rep. I think it it was the House rep from West Bloomfield. I'm forgetting his name. Sorry about that. But he said for advocacy, one of his tips was, well, you have a governor's race coming up, get your parties in front of the candidates. He's like, that's when they're open, to hearing about ideas as they're putting their platforms together.
Yeah, that is one thing to hear, Mitch. I would disagree. We have very limited time on dealing with the on Advocacy Day to do that. Um, and the reason I'm saying because there are so many Republican candidates, there are so many Democratic candidates,
Uh-huh.
and we still have a primary coming up in August. Um,
Yeah.
I would recommend groups doing that outside of Advocacy Day, let them know. But Advocacy Day is not the time to do that. You will run into some of the candidates on Advocacy Day because they are members of the current legislature. But overall, it's not really advantageous use of time on Advocacy Day.
Oh, I wasn't suggesting
Oh,
that,
okay.
Nick. I was just telling you that last year this happened at Advocacy Day. Like actually, like it was
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
um, yeah,
and yeah,
actually in pizza. So
and
yeah, just
I've
yeah.
had conversations with a few of the candidates lately. Um, I think everybody knows that we have a affordability crisis in Michigan on the housing side. The question is where do they see it landing? And that, we will be sending out a um, questionnaire to candidates to talk about the issues impacting the community. But yeah, no, yes, there is. I thought you meant during Advocacy Day. So yeah, all right. Anybody have any questions? Any concerns? Eric, do you have any closing remarks?
I don't, other than to say, as you can hear, there's still a lot going on. We've seen some, what I would say, relatively good things happen through Congress, but this is an ongoing battle for us. I want to thank you all for being here and just have you recognize the fact that there is a lot of effort that goes into this. And thank you, Nick and Sarah, for keeping your eye on the ball throughout this process. But also you all are here. You are able to carry the water, so to speak, to go back to your communities, go back to your agencies, et cetera, and share this information to try to get more people involved. There are some really treacherous waters still ahead of us potentially when we see things like the legislation in Indiana and the work that the Cicero Institute had done there and not knowing what's going to be happening with the next NOFO that we anticipate is going to be coming this summer through HUD. So we need to keep at this. We can't let up on it. And I just want to thank you all and urge you to continue in your advocacy efforts.
Thank you, Eric. Again, don't be afraid to reach out if you don't know the way ahead or if you have a question on how to answer a question to the media or if you just don't feel uh, that you are the right person to answer that question, don't be afraid to reach out. It might be us that responds. It might be we put you in contact with somebody else that might know the issue better. But again, that's what we're here for is collective action and working together to advance, housing first and to ensure people are housed with dignity and the supports that they need. So, again, thank you everybody for coming today. Really appreciate your time. I'll let you buy back some time as we get to end a little bit early. But don't be afraid to reach out. I look forward to hearing from all of you and have a great day, and we'll see you next month.